Om Ajnanatimarandhasya Jnananjana
चक्षुरुं
Chakshurunmilitam
तं येन
Yena
तस्मै
Tasmai Shri.
गुरवे नमः.
So, whose turn is it to read?
My turn, but there's no screen.
Is there no screen, Mataji? Is it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Mataji.
No, cannot see, no screen.
Now I can see Mataji.
All right.
Chapter 12, Devotional Service. Text number 1. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Text 2. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. Hare Krishna, Sutapa Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Takes 3 and 4. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. Text 5. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Hare Krishna. Shukumal Radhe Mataji.
Thank you. Yeah. Text 6 and 7. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Text 8. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Chitra Mataji.
Text 9. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Text 10. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Hare Krishna. Varshana Mataji.
Mataji, you're muted.
Varshana Mataji, text 11.
She's not there, is she? I don't see her.
Yeah, even I don't see that.
Okay. Yeah, who's next? Maybe
Me. Text 11. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Text 12. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of these fruits of action. For by, for by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Hare Krishna. Sutapa Mataji.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Text 13 and 14. One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal to in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fix on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Text 15. He by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. Shukumal Radhe Mataji.
Thank you. Text 15. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. Text
Mataji
16.
was about to supposed to read text 16.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's
My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure expert without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. Text 17. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. Chitra Mataji.
Texts 18, 19. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Text 20. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll take a little bit of reflection.
Mataji, 3
Mataji,
and
I have a
4.
question. I just wanted to ask you because last 3-4 days I'm just seeing these words and I was thinking. So just I'm going fast, Vindavali Mataji. Mataji, there is 18 and 19, the verse, there is always free from contaminating association. How we can contaminate association?
First, we have to understand association. What is association? And then we will see what is contaminating association, right? So association means that you meet with somebody and then you are in sync. Your minds are amalgamated. You are of one mind. Their thinking and your thinking is aligned. When your thinking and their thinking is aligned, then it is called association, right? Just because you go to the grocery shop and there are so many other people around you, it doesn't mean you're associating with them, right? Even at work, if you have to go for a work lunch and you see whatever they're having or whatever eating or drinking are things that we don't, and you are not, as long as you're not eating that and agreeing to their ideologies, then you're not associating. Association means that, okay, I also agree with you. So both two people go to the bar, okay, let's have a drink. Both of them have it, right? Now let's go out and have some fun. Both of them go out to have, that is associating, right? So
But sometimes Mataji, at home also means if you see that there is, it's not that every time you are agree the person you are living with. So then,
yeah, so which is not associating, right? You're not
okay.
agreeing with something, right? Somebody says, well, come watch watch television, and you say, I'm going to the Bhakti Vrksa class. So you're not associating, right? Association means when there is oneness of mind, when the thoughts are the same, the desires are the same, and the understanding is the same, right? See, it can happen that two people in the same house can have the same thoughts. They can agree on a certain thing, but still not be able to do it together. For example, both of them want to watch, sit down in front of the television, and both of them want to watch the football game, right? So there's oneness of mind, there's complete understanding, right? Husband also wants to watch, wife also wants to watch, kids also want to watch. There's complete thing there, complete association is there. However, because the kid has to go for a karate class and somebody has to drive the kid to the karate class, they leave and go. So, it does. One is that even if you agree, it doesn't mean that you will be able to do things together. And second is that just the fact that you're living together doesn't mean that you will be doing everything together because of differences in opinion and the stand that you take, right? Sometimes a person under pressure might do certain things which they don't like. And those are, there are some social obligations that you have to fulfill, right? You don't want. For example, there's some birthday celebration and it's somebody's first child, and it's the first birthday of the child and your sisters, for example, right? I'm just giving an example. And so you are, and that if you don't go there, they'll be terribly hurt. But there is this other, some good speaker has come to your town and you'd rather be there, right? So of course there is no common point to the two people. The two sisters were thinking very differently on how the time should be spent. But in some cases, just to keep the social obligations, you are forced to do that. But that should be occasional. That should not be the rule, like that, right? Otherwise, you won't have a chance to do devotional service. You are not surrounded by devotees. So when it comes to association, then association is when you start doing what the other is also doing and you start thinking like what the others are thinking. For example, when you come to when you come to ISKCON, right? When you come to ISKCON and somebody says Sutapa Mataji, it's like, ooh, what is it? Mataji. My maidservant used to call me Mataji. Why are they calling me Mataji? They are not my maidservants, right? And but then slowly when you start understanding the meaning of that and why people address each other as Mataji, then you understand and you agree, and then you also start saying the same thing, which is basically try to stay at a humble platform, right? So bring in humility. So you see here what happened, because you had association, but it was a good association, and the effect of that was good. Similarly, if you go and start associating with people who are playing cards, for
Bad
example,
association.
today's Diwali, so people can call you for a card game, and then with the card game there are some drinks also. So if you just continue to go there, then after some time and after pressure, people again say, oh, come on, just have one swig, come on, just have one gulp, it's okay. And like, why are you not putting some money on the cards? Come on, you can do that. So slowly you start doing that. So that is contaminating association, where the
Bad
consciousness got
association.
contaminated, right? So that is what he's saying, that who is always free from contaminating association. So always free from contamination means that even if the association is bad, that person is devotee is so strong, right? And we talked about the strength of a devotee. It starts from Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and
Madhikari.
Uttam Adhikari.
Uttamadhikari.
The Kanishta Adhikari is one whose faith is very soft. It's like that of a banana tree. You can sway the banana tree in any direction. So similarly, the Kanishta Adhikari is his faith is like that. Anybody can convince him and sway him from this
Every
direction to that direction, right?
every mind.
And that happens because his knowledge of the Shastras is not there. Then comes the Madhyam Adhikari. He has got very strong faiths. Somehow the other, his faith is strong, but his knowledge of Shastras is there, much more than of a Kanishta Adhikari, but not that enough. Not enough, right? So, but his faith will glide him through. So others won't be able to sway him, but he also won't be able to sway others.
Yeah.
You won't be able to convince others that this is the right thing that I'm doing. Others will say like, hey, why are you doing this thing? And they'll come up with statements like, leave me alone, let it be, everybody's free, so I do mine and you do what you do, and let's be buddies, and like that kind of a thing they'll say. And then the topmost is the Uttam Adhikari. And the Uttam Adhikari is one who has very strong faith, and the knowledge of Shastra is also very strong, so that anybody starts to refute a few things. For example, if somebody comes and says, oh, your Hindu religion has got thousands of gods. How can you have thousands of gods, millions of gods? There's only one God, right? And a person who doesn't have knowledge of the Shastras will think, yeah, this is wrong, right? Or somebody, but they don't know that there is only one. Ishvara, Parma, Krishna,
Krishna.
Satchidananda
Chidananda
Vigraha.
Vigraha.
So ours is
Ananda.
also a monolithic religion, right? Philosophy. So or somebody might just say that, oh, you have got such gory practices. You have worship of Kali, right, and things like that. They are offering, cutting an animal in front of it, blood and all that. What kind of a thing is that, right? So on the face of it, if a person doesn't have enough knowledge of the Shastras, he might think that, yes, this is wrong. But as you understand and read the Shastras, then you understand that a person who has a desire to eat meat will eat it anyway. Anyways, he's going to have it. Because he has a free will. He will do whatever he wants to do. And then bringing in the Kali worship and saying that, hey, if you have to eat meat, then first you have to do this, first you have to offer it to her, then you do this, is actually putting a dampener on that. It's not a free will that you drive your car into Safeway and pick up meat from there and eat it, right? Has it been offered to some goddess? So they're just putting a dampener on that process, making it a little bit difficult for you to indulge in these kind of activities. So Shastra, knowledge of Shastra is also very important. Another thing about the Kanishta Adhikari, which is the junior most, is that he has a relationship only with Krishna. So he comes to the temple, he just goes to see the deities, he talks to Krishna, and he
He goes back.
goes back. There you go. He doesn't care that there are other devotees in the temple. But as you progress in devotional service, you start to understand that even more important than Krishna in your devotional practice is devotees, because these devotees only there who are going to
Association.
take you to Krishna. Without devotee association, you can't approach Krishna. So it's like, walking into the Oval Office and saying, I want to meet the president and I'm going to ignore the secretary. It doesn't happen, right? Like that. So contaminating association, if you're strong enough in your devotional service, then you will still be free from contaminating association. The biggest contaminating association was that of the prostitute with Haridas. Whole night, a beautiful Maya comes in the form of a prostitute, as a beautiful prostitute, and she's standing there making gestures, but nothing happened to him. Why? He's free from contaminating association. Like that.
Can I share something, Shraddha Mataji?
Yes,
It's very
please.
short. So in my pottery class, we have all different, like there's an American, a Canadian, a Japanese, and then me. And my pottery teacher is Persian. So, so all of us were into Biden, and they all wanted to have champagne the Wednesday when we met after the elections. And they knew that I will not have champagne. They tried to convince me a few years back, and it didn't work. So this year, instead of champagne, she put a small bottle of apple cider for everyone. So that
That's
was
good.
really nice that she could have done 3 champagne and 1 cider, but it was just like, I thought, so respectful of her. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Very nice. It's very, very nice. And now, and now you see it's the contamination happening in the opposite direction.
Opposite
So
direction.
much is having effect on them, right? And also that is why you see that there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita which says api chet suduracharo bhaste mam ananya bhag, right? So when you see people doing extremes of wrong things, sadhu reva samantavya. So whenever we see people doing those kind of things, and one would form a figure, one would form an idea in their head that oh, they just drink, they have champagne, and they're drunkards and they don't have any. But look at the fine feelings that lady has.
Yeah.
That just
That's
because
really
one person does not drink, nobody is going to drink.
That's
And
really
there used to be this story. They used to tell us that what is a finger bowl?
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
Chinese restaurants, even Indian, you used to go and ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they,
nowadays in India also they serve the finger bowl.
yeah. And so now here in America, there's not much of finger bowl, but it used to be very much in vogue when I was growing up. So there was the story they used to tell.
Small 11 piece they would put.
Yeah. So I don't know which
Piece of
diplomat they used to talk about, but it's a diplomat who went to London. And so there was this huge luncheon which was served in his honor, a huge table, and everybody was sitting there. And so, after the food and all was served, so then they brought the finger bowl, which had water and had lemon in it.
Lemon.
You can imagine
Somebody
what the
drank it.
Indian is going to think. Water,
Somebody drank it.
good for digestion, right?
So he drank it.
Yeah. So he just went and looked and drank it. You will not believe everybody on the table
Everybody started drinking.
drank it. Yeah. So you never know. So and that is why in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also talking about the qualities of a devotee. So there are some fine qualities. Non-devotees can also have a fine quality, right? But you're saying just because you're devotee doesn't mean that you can get away with not having any good qualities. You have to have. Good qualities have to be there. And, fine speech. If you are a devotee and we shout at others, then it doesn't make any sense. Even if somebody else is doing any bad thing, there is a certain way in which you behave, right? So,
Mat-
Vindhyavali Mataji, what did your spiritual master tell you about speech on your initiation day? Or were you too much in a haze? I wasn't too much of a haze the day I was initiated to even remember what he told me. Anybody remember? What does he say? Tell about? Is a very famous word. Two words he used, M and P, about speech. When I tell that, you will remember. He says, Mukhe Prasada.
Mukhe
Prasada.
prasada.
Right? Mukhe Prasada. From your mouth. So if you're a devotee, from your mouth, only prasad should come.
But Mataji, sometimes what happened when we step outside of the home, so we, like yesterday, there was a situation and like someone was driving so rash and he came from behind and crossed our car. Means there would have been a big accident and he was a child in his car. So means I was so scared and I came out from the car and I asked, why did you drive like this? And Mataji, I was so scared because there was a very small child in his car. So at this point, how you can behave?
Hmm.
Means we behaved out. Sometimes we behave out of fear. Sometimes I don't know. There is so many layers of emotions. Means it's not
That's
that you
true.
are angry all the time. It's not like that.
That's,
Hmm.
that's true.
So why do you think that from your mouth that was not prasadat? Prasad is mercy, right?
That's what I told Mataji that I am so scared. So I shouted that you have a child in his car.
Yeah. So slowly,
So
that
you're
shouting will
perfect.
go away.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
did right.
yeah. Slowly, the shouting will go away. The same thing can be said also, and children and teenagers will understand stern language also. Like, do you know, Missy, where are you driving? You can be stern also without shouting, and it will have the same effect on them, right? And then, of course, you shouted, but the words that you shouted also have to be considered when it comes to Mukhya Prasadas, right? People start taking out swearing words. And why we say that we should not be in the habit of using swearing words is that suppose somebody drives by on the freeway and there is a collision, there is an accident, and we are accustomed to using swear words, so we shout and then we die. So those will be the last words that we. So whenever there is something, we have to practice it of saying, "Oh Krishna." And I think I told some time ago that
Yeah.
when I
Right.
first came to when I first came to ISKCON here in Silicon Valley, I was very surprised, and not just surprised. I was very it was very nice feeling for me to see that how there's a Mataji called Neelam Mataji. She's my god sister. So she was cooking, and I was helping her in the kitchen to cook. And so she had this whole big pot of something, and it fell from her hands. And she said, "Oh," I said, "Ouch," and she said, "Oh, Krishna." And then immediately I noticed the difference. I said, "This ouch and all that is useless. It is a cute word. It's a sweet word, but there is no mercy coming from there, right? But if you say Krishna, then she said Krishna. I heard Krishna. So you see, it was Mukhya Prasada. It had its effect on me, and she chanted the name of the Lord. Everybody in the room, including millions of those who don't see, entities that you don't see, they all heard the word of Krishna. So you see, it's very important. So it'll come with practice. It'll come with practice. You see, one of the emotions could also be anger, but for you, the anger was not that emotion. It was not the on
No,
the top.
Mataji.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fear, right? So the fear, and you scolded that child. Sometimes you have to
Mataji, come to the point of association at home, the one you're telling before. If a husband and wife or sister or anybody, if it happens every day, we might be thinking that it's not fair. But if it happens once in a while, sometimes adjusting is also makes a lot of difference. Is that right, Mataji?
Yes, it does. But let me complete my thought with Sutapa. Yeah. So, but otherwise I lose it. So you hold on to that thought. Let me finish with Sutapa.
Okay.
So I was saying that with practice, it'll come. So that's why abhyas yogena yukta, right? So it's a constant practice that we are doing, because again, also that, you also have to think that I'm the ambassador, like how an ambassador of a country behaves in another country. So we are ambassadors from Krishna, right? We have all come from Golok Vrindavan and we are trying to do devotional service. So the onus becomes even more on us to behave properly, because otherwise, what will people think about what devotees are? So the responsibility is even more on us to be behaving properly, because others are watching you and they might just say that it doesn't make any sense. It is useless to do devotional service to the Lord
Yes.
because this person cannot control. And look at the language; they cannot control language. The whole day they are saying Hare Krishna, but the moment a car comes at them, they shout, expletives and things like that. So it's important for us to be cognizant of the fact that the whole world is looking at you. And same thing Krishna also tells to Arjuna in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says that, right? Whatever great men do, the ordinary men follow.
Others follow.
So similarly, you are representative of Krishna as you are a devotee, right? Especially like, people who put tilak and things like that. We have to be careful of what's going on. And with practice, and remember, thinking, feeling, willing, and acting, see how quickly it happens. So glad.
Yes, Mataji, sometimes it happens so quickly that
Yes.
yourself also doesn't remember or control over your.
Yes. So when you are in that on that route of controlling your senses, this is all part of controlling the sense, right? Mind and the tongue, both. So when you are practicing, then slowly it'll happen. Now you'll be very surprised that people do certain things, they say certain things, they react in certain ways, and they don't even know that they did it, because it has become second nature to them, right?
That's what, yeah.
And then somebody hears and says that, and then they hear that they're not supposed to behave like that. And they understand it, they get it. Philosophically, they understand that I'm supposed to behave like that. But then
Too late.
they do it, and afterwards they remember that I was not supposed to do it, right?
Too late.
And then as you progress further and further and further, then what's going to happen is that you are doing it and you know that I'm not supposed to do it. Like, shouting at the spouse, and I'm not supposed to be shouting it, but it still comes, right? But that is still a better stage. And then afterwards will be the stage that you will not do that, which kind of connects now to what Vindhyavali Mataji was saying, her thought, where she was saying that in a home, it can happen over and over again. If it's happening daily, occasionally it's okay. If it's happening daily, then what do you do? And it is best to ignore. And yes, it is best to ignore, because when you ignore, what happens?
And they realize.
Not only they realizing, what happens to you? If you learn how to ignore, what happens? What is happening to you, to your consciousness?
Means you will always stay in mode of goodness and you will be calm and tolerant. You mentioned one time that Mataji, the chick rakta will increase.
Yeah, your spiritual blood increases.
Hare Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Varshana Mataji.
Mataji, you maintain your peace, you see, your mental peace and peace of the house also.
Yes. Peace of the house and mental peace is maintained, right?
Yeah.
Mental
And
peace, yes.
You feel you are following what devotees, senior devotees.
Yeah.
People and devotees, so you feel good about it.
Yeah. You will feel good because the mode of goodness, puts you in a
Mode of
position where you
goodness.
feel good, and also you are setting samskaras, and you are also removing the old samskaras, which have told you to behave in a certain way. But now, armed with this knowledge and the determination that I'm going to behave properly, is now putting in right things in your mind, so that given the next scenario, when the same thing happens again, the mind now is being accustomed to behaving in a certain way. Just give me 1 second. I need to be right back. I'm back. Great. So,
I think Shraddha devi Dasi is there.
okay, good.
She joined.
So yeah, so back to my thing about so tolerating. Then the more that you learn how to tolerate these things, that raises your consciousness to a higher level, which will take you to the 15th verse of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, which we discussed in detail yesterday. Yasman no dujite loko, loka no ujjudite.
Yeah.
Right, one who doesn't agitate others and is not agitated by others. Right. So the important test is like when people come and agitate you, as long the moment we say that, okay, this is my test, right? When you know this is my test, then you behave differently, right? This is my test. I have to pass the test. I have to pass the test. I have to pass the test. That is what is in your mind all the time, right? So you behave differently. So look at all these things that happen in your life, which are not happening according to what you plan and what you think. Always think that there is some test going on in your life. Krishna has presented that test to you. Okay?
24 hours the test, Mataji.
Say that again, please.
24 hours we are under, you see,
The test.
24 hours. 24-hour surveillance.
We are all in the same boat, Mataji.
Same boat.
Right. Shruti Priya Mataji, Dandat Pranam, are you able to read today? Unmute yourself.
Muted.
Yes, Mataji.
Can you? Okay. So I'm going to read the revised order, which, by the way, I never posted, I think, right?
Yeah, you forgot
I made
it.
tall claims and I never posted that. Okay. So where is my chat window? Okay, here it is in front of everybody. Okay, I put it there. So we start with Vindhyavali Mataji, then Sutapa, Sukomal Radhe, Chitra, Varshana, Shruti Priya, and then again Vindhyavali Mataji. Okay, in that order. And before you speak, before you read, remember to unmute yourself. Okay, any other reflections before we go to Brahma Samhita? Are we ready? Are we ready to go to Brahma Samhita then?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. So I don't need this. This order is already written. And let's see. Brahma Samhita. I'll just bring it up in a new tab. So last time we did half of one verse, right? Which is a big achievement. As far as Brahma Samhita goes, if we do half a verse, it is good. Very good. Very good achievement. Okay, so Brahma Samhita. Whose turn is it to read now?
I think Chitra Mataji was the last one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Mataji. I am the
Mataji
last.
was
But
right.
Varshana Mataji didn't
So
read.
Varshana Mataji, yes.
Yeah, she was
She
not there.
didn't
We were
read,
calling out
and
her.
Shruti Priya Mataji. Both of
Yeah,
them.
they didn't read. Okay, so I will read this, but you still read it again. I'm just doing it for the purposes of translation, right? For the purposes of pronunciation. Karnikaram mahadyantram shatkonam vajrakilakam shadanga shatpadi sthanam prakritya purushena cha premananda mahananda rasena vastitam hiyat jyotirupena manuna kama bijena sangatam. Okay.
Can you share, Mataji?
We
I'm
don't
not
have.
sharing. You caring is caring. I don't care about anybody. Very bad. Okay. Now, sorry about that. Okay. Hey, Mlata Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Rohit Prabhu, Dandat Pranam. Thank you for joining us here. Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I think Varshana Mataji. No?
Yeah. Varshana Mataji, please do the Sanskrit.
yes. Karnikaram mahayantram षट्कोणं व्रजकीलकम् षड् पदे स्थानं प्रकृत्या पुरुषेण च प्रेमानन्दमानन्द रसेन अवस्थितं हि यत् ज्योतिरूपेण मानुना मनुना कामबीजेन संगतम्. Hare Krishna.
Very nice.
Shruti Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Shruti Priya, give us the.
Is it word by word translation, Mataji?
Yes, yes, just the word by word, please.
Karnikaram, the wall. Mahat, great. Yantram, figure. Satkonam, a hexagon. Vajra, like a diamond. Kilakam, the central support. Sadanka Sadpadi, of the 18-syllable mantra with the six-fold divisions. Sthanam, the place of manifestation. Prakritya, along with the predominant aspect of the absolute. Purushena, along with the predominating aspect of the absolute. Cha, also. Prema Ananda, of the bliss of love of God. Mahananda, of the great transcendental jubilation. Rasena, with the rasa, mellow. Avasthitam, situated, high, certainly. Yat, which. Jyoti, rupena, transcendental. Manuna, with the mantra. Kama bijena, with the kama bija, klim.
Sangatam, join.
I can't see Mataji. Can you
Okay.
draw it?
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. Sangatam, joined.
Sangatam. Okay.
Sangatam.
Mataji, before I read, can you just scroll down a little bit, Mataji? Little bit. What is this? Prakritya and Purushena, both are the same meaning, Mataji?
Prakriti and Purushena? No, they are opposites actually.
No.
Yeah, Prakriti is Prakriti, Mother Nature. And Purushena
Yes,
is
Mataji. See that Prakritya along with the predominant aspect of the absolute.
predominated.
Purushena. Yeah, predominated.
Predominated.
Purushena along with the predominating. Predominating. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No
I'll
problem,
take it, Mataji.
Yeah, no problem.
The translation. The world, the whole of the transcendental lotus is the real wherein dwell Krishna. It is a hexagonal figure, the abode of the indwelling, predominated and predominating aspect of the absolute. Now I got it. Like a diamond, the central supporting figure of self-luminous Krishna stands as a transcendental source of all potencies. The holy name, consisting of 18 transcendental letters, is manifested in a hexagonal figure with six-fold divisions. Hare Krishna. So Tapama.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, can you scroll up, please?
Yes, doing that. Coming up.
But yes, the transcendental pastimes of Krishna are twofold, viz. Manifested and non-manifested. The pastimes in Vrindavan visible to mortal eyes are the manifestive Leela of Sri Krishna, and that which is not visible is non-manifestive Leela of Krishna. The non-manifestive Leela is always visible in Goloka and same is visible to human eyes in Goloka. If Krishna so desires. In his Krishna Shandarva, Sri Jiva Goswami Prabhu says, non-manifestive pastimes are expressed in manifestive Krishna Leela and Goloka Leela in the non-manifestive pastimes of Krishna, visualized from the mundane plane. This is also corroborated by Sri Rup Goswami in this Bhagavatamrita, the progressive transcendental manifestation of Gokula is Goloka. So, Goloka is the self same majestic manifestation of Gokula. The eternal pastimes of Sri Krishna, although not visible in Gokula, are eternally manifested in Goloka. Goloka is the transcendental majestic manifestation of Gokula. The manifestations of the non-manifestive pastimes of Krishna with regard to the conditioned souls are twofold. Hare Krishna, Shukumar Radhe Mataji, you can read.
Okay. Namely, one, worship through the channel of the mantras, inaudibly recited, liberating, self-dedicatory, transcendental sounds. Two, spontaneous outflow of heart's spiritual love for Krishna. Sri Jiva Goswami has said that worship through the mantra is possible permanently in the proper place when confined to one pastime. This meditative manifestation of Goluka is the pastime attended with the worship of Krishna through the mantra. Again, the pastimes that are performed in different planes and in different moods are autocratic in diverse ways. Hence, swarasiki, that is spontaneous outflow of heart's spiritual love for Krishna. This shloka conveys a twofold meaning. One meaning is that in the pastime attended with worship through the mantra consisting of 18 transcendental letters, let me scroll up, Shraddha Mataji. Transcendental words contained in the said mantra being differently placed make a manifestation of only one Leela of Sri Krishna. As for example, Klim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Swaha. This is a hexagonal mantra consisting of 6 transcendental words, namely Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Swaha. These 6 transcendental words, when placed juxtapositionally, indicate the mantra. Chitra Mataji.
The hexagonal great transcendental machinery is in this wise. The principal seed, that is Klim, is situated in the instrument as the central pivot. Anybody with an impression of such an instrument in his mind and concentrating his thought on such spiritual entities can attain, like Chandradvaja, to the knowledge of the cognitive principle. The word swa indicates kshetrajna, that is, one who is conversant with one's inner self, and the word ha indicates the transcendental nature. This meaning of the mantra has also been corroborated by Sri Hari Bhakti Vilasa. The general meaning is this, that one who is desirous of entering into the esoteric pastimes of Krishna will have to practice his transcendental service along with the culture of the devotional knowledge relative to him. I mean, you want to continue, Mataji, or somebody else can continue? Varshana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, can you indicate, because I got disconnected, where am I? I mean, where
It's a
am I supposed
Krishna
to
Swarupa.
Highlighting.
Krishna Swarupa highlighted.
Where you have the numbers like 1, 2, 3.
Krishna. Okay, yes, yes, Mataji. Okay, Mataji. Krishna Swarupa, the proper self of Krishna. Krishnasya Chinmay Vraj Leela Vilas Swarupa, the true nature of Krishna's transcendental pastimes in Vraja. Number 3, Tat Parikar Gopijan Swarupa, the true nature of the spiritual association of Vraja. The spiritual milkmen and the milkmaids. Number 4, Tat Vallabha, the true nature of self-surrender to Krishna in the footsteps of the spiritual milkmaids of Vrija. Number 5, Shuddha Jivasya Chit Gyan Swarupa, the true nature of the spiritual knowledge of the unalloyed individual soul. Number 6, Chit Prakratir Arthat Krishna Seva Swarupa, the
Swabhava,
true nature.
Swabhava.
transcendental swabhava. The true nature of the transcendental service to Krishna is this, that the esoteric relation is established on the awakening of one's pure cognition. The meaning is that rasa is only the transcendental service of the central refuge Shri Krishna as predominating aspect of the absolute by one's ego as the spiritual mate of the predominated moiety of the absolute integer, attended with pure devotion in the shape of one's entire self-surrender. Hare Krishna Mataji. Uh, Next person can read.
Shruti Priya Mata. Shruti Priya Mata.
The pastime in Goloka or in the Gokula of or in Gokula during the stage of devotional progress is the meditative worship through the mantra, and during the stage of perfection, the pastimes manifest themselves as the unrestrained transcendental jubilation. This is the real aspect of Gokula, Goloka or Gokula, which will be made more explicit in due course. The meaning of the verse Jyoti Rupena Manuna BS Brahma Samhita, is it?
Yeah.
Brahma Samhita 5.3 is that the transcendental meaning is expressed in the mantra by means of which on transcendental desire of love for Krishna and the service of Krishna being added, one is established in the eternal love of Krishna. Such eternal pastimes are externally manifested in Goloka.
Eternally manifested in Goloka. Fantastic.
Mataji, there's a lot to know in this, Mataji.
Yes. That's why we do one paragraph a week. This is loaded. This is
Too
loaded
much.
with meaning.
Yeah. It's hard to understand it.
But if you pursue devotional service of the Lord, then knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. It will come automatically. So it comes.
Hare Krishna Mataji. What is moiety? Moiety?
We will take moiety. first, let's tackle other lesser levels.
It's very involved, Shraddha Mataji.
Yes.
Very involved. Yeah, but I tell you what, you will get it because you got what we talked last time. Although it looks so like that. Okay, we all got it. So let's see. Let me just bring up a picture which I showed you last time. Last time, I think Vindyavali Mataji was sick, so she did not see this.
I was not.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
You were also not there. Okay, so here it is.
Oh, beautiful
So
lotus.
they are describing the place of Krishna, right? Where Krishna lives, right? So that is what we have been
Goloka. Goloka, is that right?
Yeah. So they are describing the place where Krishna lives, and we know that they described it as a lotus, right? And when they described it as a lotus, it was like we talked about the whirl of the lotus. That's a term that we use today, right? Whirl of the lotus. So what is the whirl of the lotus? These circular things, the circular petals is known as the whirl of the lotus, right? And the whirl of the lotus has got a very beautiful name in Sanskrit. It says Karnikaram, right? So the verse starts with Tat Karnikaram Mahadyantram Tat Konam Shatasi Kilakam. So so I'm just going to summarize what I discussed last time. So we won't go over it again. But the summary of that is that there is this whirl of the lotus over here, right? And they're saying that inside this lotus, right? Inside this whirl of the lotus is where Krishna lives. So this is the Golok planet, which is shaped like a lotus. And inside the whirl, which means over here is where Krishna lives. And he says it's a hexagonal figure. Now you cannot see it completely hexagonal in this picture. And one of the things that we also have to understand is that we are trying to describe the transcendental world and using and trying to understand it using our mundane senses. So there are certain things which we might not be able to comprehend. So we will just, glide along them, considering with faith that they are written in the Shastra, so they have to be true. And then maybe I don't have the entitlement to understand it today, or maybe I don't have the right instruments, which is eyes and intellect, to understand that. Okay. So, so what they're saying is it's hexagonal, but just to give an idea, a hexagon is a figure which has got 6 sides on it, right? So you can just see, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, sort of hexagon, sort of a hexagon. So what is saying that, it is a hexagonal figure where he lives over here, and it is the abode of what? So abode means where somebody lives. So it's the house of what? Whose house is it? He's saying it's the house of the
Krishna. Krishna.
it's the house of the predominated and the predominating. So he's saying predominating means that one who dominates, and predominated is one who is dominated by someone else. So here it's saying both of them live here. The predominating, which is like the supreme dominator, which is Krishna, and the one whom he dominates, which is Radha,
Radharani.
right?
Oh.
Over here. So that's what this verse says, that like they are here. And then it says that just like as a diamond, when you bring a diamond, the diamond shines, right, and gives out its light. So similarly, he's saying that here also, in here, this central supporting figure with Krishna, right? Krishna supports everything, right? So he's saying that in the center, like a supporting figure, Krishna is self-luminous. Self-luminous means that light comes out of, it doesn't have to get light from someplace else. They are self-luminous. So it's like a diamond in the central place, the self-supporting luminous figure of Krishna stands, right? So that is what it is saying there. And we studied up until there. And then we also read last week and the week before that also, we read about Golok, which is this, the highest planet in the Vaikuntha. We read about this, Golok. And we also read about Gokula, which is in India. And we said that Gokula is like an embassy, right? Just as, within India, you can have American embassy and everything inside the American embassy will be American, right? The water bottles won't be Bisleri, but they will be Aquafina, like that. So everything that is inside it will be American. They'll have American chocolates, American coffee, whatever they want to have, American paper, American computers, American people. So embassy is when a portion of the country is manifested in another country, that is known as an embassy. Similarly, the place known as Gokul, right? Gokul in India is an embassy of Goloka. So now when we come to, now we focus on India and you focus on Gokul, right? Which is Mathura, Vrindavan, Gokul, that area. So when you focus on Gokul, not everybody will be able to see and understand that this is actually an embassy of Golok. They might just see the superficial dirt, the cows, the pigs, the crows, etc. And they'll say, it's a dirty place, right? But those who have got the adhikar, those who are highly evolved in devotional service, when they go to Gokul in India, they don't see any of the material things over there that kind of are mind-boggling to us, but instead they actually see Golok itself. So they see the abode. So, at least I'm not in that stage at all to be able to see that. But this is what, this verse is saying, that so what happens is that we see some pastimes of Krishna in Goloka. There are pastimes of Krishna in Golok, right? So Golok is here. Golok is here, right? And where is Gokul? Gokul is somewhere in one of these universes. And inside that universes, there are millions and billions of planets. In one of the planet that is Earth, inside Earth is where we have that embassy, which is Gokul. Okay? Now, let's forget about Gokul for a little while. Let's concentrate on Golok and let's see what are the pastimes that Krishna does in Golok. Can you give me a few pastimes of Krishna that you know?
Cow grazing, Ras Leela,
Ras
being
dance.
Okay. What else?
killing.
But he has his childhood there, Mataji.
Yes.
Of
Yes, Krishna has all the things. there.
Then you must be having that, is that Damodar and everything
Right?
there?
Yeah. So you see, so there are many pastimes that he does over here. He'll be playing with his cowherd boys. He'll be playing with the cowherd girls, and in a mature form, he'll be playing with the gopis and so on and so forth. You know, having fun with Yashoda, talking to Devki. So like that, he will be manifesting many pastimes in Golok. So Golok is there, the topmost in this world over here. Now, some of these pastimes will be, and these pastimes are having eternally, non-stop. They always
Yeah.
happen. They always happen like that, right? And then when on the Golok, which is in the embassy, which is over here, right? In the embassy, everything will not happen all the time, right? Only some of his pastimes will be shown, and again, those will not be shown all the time. So it's not that when if I go to Gokul today, I will see Krishna there. No, Krishna will come according to the scheduled incarnation. Whenever he's supposed to incarnate, whatever he's supposed to incarnate, wherever he's supposed to incarnate, he will incarnate there, perform a few of the rasli, for few of the leelas, and then back. So we have to keep this in mind that on the planet Earth, not all of his pastimes are manifested. So number one, the number is less, right? So he does a lot over here, but when it comes to the material world, and inside the material world is his tiny little embassy, so over there called Gokul. In Gokula, he does not do all his pastimes. So number one, right? And number two is that for whatever pastimes that he's doing on the material world, he is not doing them all the time. Okay. So quantity wise, they are less, and time wise also they are less. Okay. So we read, yes, last time we read up until here. Okay? So any questions that you have on this before we go further?
Mataji, you said in this material, this planet, he won't have the pastimes all the time. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
And then in Gokul, Golok, but he will have the pastimes all the time. You said.
Yes, Nitya Leela.
Is that
Yeah.
Nitya Leela?
Nitya Leela
So
all
Nitya
the time.
Leela, my only doubt is, when he was a young boy, and then he grew up, and then he did Rasalila, and then he went to Gopis, and then he was cohort boy, like that. So his age will be changing there, or he will be same age.
Yeah, there is no time in the spiritual world. So we are thinking like this, right? We are thinking like this because we are accustomed to think like that, right? Our intellect can only think like that. Our intellect cannot understand and comprehend how a person can be in all stages. Oh, Siri, come on. Oh. I don't know why Siri got excited and wants to answer. Maybe she's finding Krishna Katha very appealing.
I know.
Yeah. So, yeah. So going back to, so it's very difficult for us to comprehend and understand that how is that possible? That Krishna can also be a child, Krishna can also be a youth, and then married, and so on and so forth. But this is what the spiritual world is. And don't rake your brains also too much, because in the first verse we read where it said that do not try to capture Krishna by your intellect. Don't try to capture, because you can't capture him. You can't capture him. That knowledge, whatever knowledge that you will get, whatever understanding that you will get about Krishna, janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha, right? One who understands, so that understanding can only come from bhakti, right? Only from bhakti. When Krishna desires to give you that knowledge, then that knowledge will come, no matter how hard we can try. We cannot control Krishna because he is the supreme controller. And that is why we said he is the predominating. He's the predominating factor. He dominates everybody. And because we are parts of Krishna, so we also like to dominate a little bit here and there. Sometimes successful, sometimes not successful. But we try all the time. At least
But aren't we the predominated then?
We are the predominated, but we don't like it. And we have a little free will to say, I don't want to be dominated by you.
Oh.
Right? He gave that free will, right? He gave the free will to all of us, because without the
So
free,
Radharani was predominated.
yes, she's very much predominated.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I will leave.
I know, I could see it's very late in the night for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to serve dinner, so I'm leaving.
Oh, that's late, huh?
Yes,
Thank you for
Mataji.
joining. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming here. And
No.
today is going public, so the recording will be available for you to.
Yeah, I'll listen
Thank
the
you.
rest of the
Happy Diwali, happy
Happy
Govardhan
Diwali to all
Puja.
and Hari Bol, and thank you
Hari
so
Bol.
much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hari
For
Bol.
your
Thank you.
presence.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
And Mataji, tomorrow morning there will be class?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
half an hour short class. Yeah.
What time, Mataji?
6:30 my
6:30 of your
time,
time.
which will be 6:30 your time, and then for 8 o'clock for Varshana.
Yes.
Mataji.
9:30. Okay,
6:30.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Yeah.
Mataji, what time Pacific time? 6:30?
Pacific 6:30, Central 8:30, East Coast 9:30 in the morning for a short half an hour only. So we kind of just quickly go through just to set the mood of the day. Yeah. We don't usually even have time to discuss anything because I have to go for a class right after 7 o'clock. My class starts. Okay. So, yeah. So did I answer your question?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
So Mataji, I have a question. Like the soul is like yesterday we were discussing. The soul is in our soul are all female. So and female are generally predominated.
Mm.
So we were and we want to be predominated. So we were. Why did then we uh, fight and came to this?
Yeah. So let's take like you said, females are supposed to be predominated. They are supposed to listen and take guidance and advice because they are by nature innocent and they can be misled. That's why Prabhupada every now and then says that females have to be protected,
Yes, innocent.
right? You have to be protected by the husband, then by the father, then the husband, and then the son, right? Like that. So they have to be protected all the time. Otherwise, they are gullible. They will understand they are by nature like that. So they always have to be protected. So that's what the rule is, that if you have to be protected by someone, then you have to listen to that person when they're telling you don't go there, don't do this, right? So they have to be protected. And we have Garima, you remember the story we read a long time ago, that Shivji in Brahma Samhita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, was trying to protect his wife Sati by saying that don't go to your
Not to go.
Father's house.
Yeah.
don't go to your father's house, right? So the predominating Lord Shiva was telling the predominated
Dominated Parvati.
Sati, the wife, that
Sati.
don't go there. However, Sati has a free will, right? Sati has a free will. Because if she doesn't have a free will, then how can she love Shiva without that free will? Otherwise, it'll be a mechanical thing. It'll be a software program that you run. And she says, I love you, I love you, I love you. Right? It'll be like Siri. Even Siri has a mind of her own. so
Mataji, is that a thing? Sorry. Is that thing that's why happening in modern days?
what?
Predominated, free with free will, not
will
listening
always-
or something.
Yeah, predominated, predominating, and free will has always been there, but this is Kali Yuga. I'm hearing
That's what
some
I'm saying.
background sounds, right? So if you can mute yourself if you're in a noisy environment. So, but because of the ambience, because that this is Kali Yuga, and in Kali Yuga, all kinds of things happen. All kinds of things happen, bad things happen. So there is, the women are told and trained not to listen. And it's, to be fair to the parents who train their women to be like that, the men are also not angels, right? So Kali Yuga is a complete mess. And but we talk about Ram Rajya and things like that. I mean, even there, when everybody was generally good, there were still aberrations there because the mind is like that. But when we talk about Kali Yuga and Satyuga being good, we are generally talking about in numbers. as a percentage. It's not that Satyuga is 100% good. Everybody is 100% good. It's not like that, right? Because the modes of material nature are still there. Satyam, the Rajas, Tamas is still there. So Tamas will be there. It'll affect some people there also. So that is predominated and the predominating. And so they tell that you should listen. And when they don't listen, then there's trouble because of the free will that they have. They don't listen to advise like that. So what was your question again? I forgot your question. I don't know whether I answered it or not. Bindya.
Yes,
No,
Garima.
who,
Yeah, so
who
Garima's question was there. Then she was asking that why do we, if there is a predominated and the predominating, why do we then not agree to be dominated? Because we
yes.
have a free will. Okay. But having said all that, I also want to remind all of you that this is Kali Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, sometimes you have to speak up. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have this very nice example. We have this very nice example of where was it Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's son-in-law who was speaking bad things about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sarvabhauma's wife became so agitated by this that she wished that he dies, which means that your own daughter will become a widow. But she's saying that it is better for you to be a widow than to live with a man like that. So it's not all complete predominating and the predominated. After this class, you don't have to just, listen to every rotten thing that gets thrown at you by saying that I'm the predominated and predominated. But also have to remember that everybody's female. Even the soul is a female. And to understand the male and female concept, what it actually is, that the enjoyer is a male and the enjoyed is the female. Anybody who's enjoyed is a female, and anybody who enjoys is the male, like that. So that's how it's constructed. And then in this entire construction, there is only one male, and that is Krishna, because he created all the souls to enjoy. That is how he has designed it, and that is how it is, right? But because of the free will that we have, so we will not do it. So similarly, a wife might have, like Sati, right? The Sati story and Lord Shiva's story is happening in Satyuga. It's very early in the cycle of creation, very early in the cycle. And Daksha is there, her father, and so on and so forth. So predominating and predominating.
even
Hare Krishna,
Dwapara Yuga,
Mataji.
Rama and Sita's also it happened like that, Mataji.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Dwapara Yuga.
There's nothing 100% pure. There is also always contamination.
But Mataji, most of the time, Purusha, we consider Krishna as the only Purusha. But generally in the society, men, they consider themselves to be Purusha. And they most of the time in the whole Kali Yuga, I have seen in the society that they are dominating, and women are being dominated.
Yes.
But
Whereas
recently in
they
Kali Yuga,
all
their
are,
women are not anymore.
whereas they all are female inside. The Atma is female. Then why this? I mean, there should be something should be done about it, Mataji.
And what should be done about it?
I mean,
No,
this knowledge should be given to the people.
Very.
Krishna has done.
That's what we are doing. That's why we are broadcasting this on Facebook, to give that knowledge, right? So the moment Krishna becomes the center of a household, the dominating and the predominating behavior and relationship between the husband and wife will go away.
Will change.
It will change. Right? Because both of them will think that we are two wheels on the chariot
Yeah.
of spreading Krishna consciousness. So they work in together like this. They will work. But we can't even think of that.
In Kali Yuga, it's becoming a little hard.
Yes, in Kali Yuga it is hard, and which so many ways it is good also. Because otherwise, too much of a good family life can also become very entangling. So Kardam Muni and Devahuti, we have the story from Shrimad Bhagavatam, where Devahuti was the daughter of Manu, and Kardam Muni was an exalted sage. But he had one desire, he wanted to have a wife. So he prays in a place called Bindu Sarovar up in the Himalayas. And then Krishna comes and he sees. And then he talks here and there. But he also says that my Lord, I also have a small desire. I'm hearing some background sounds so that messes up with my thought process. Can you mute yourself? Yeah, thank you. So it's gone. What was I telling you? Can somebody unmute and tell me?
He went to Bindu Sarovar and
Yeah, he
asked.
went. Thank you. Yeah, so he went to Bindu Sarovar, and when Lord comes before him, he says that I have a small desire. I want to have a wife. And then the Lord, because he's in the heart and he knows everybody's intention, he says, I've already arranged that for you. 3 days from now, the king, Emperor Manu, is going to come with his daughter and hand his daughter to you in marriage. So now you imagine in those days how much the daughters were listening to their father. She's the daughter of an emperor, and the emperor is going to bring her into the forest and give her to a sage. And she won't have any of the opulences that she's accustomed to in life. But this is how they were trained because the aim was different in life. So when she comes and they get married. Of course, he comes and they get married, and then she starts serving him. And he's a sage. He's completely into devotional service and pursues the Lord. So he doesn't even recognize that there is a wife there. But the wife, she was trained. Princes were trained to serve their husbands, come what may. And that's why Draupadi was able to serve the Pandavas when they were sent to the forest because of the training that she got. So when Devahuti starts to serve her husband, and the husband doesn't even recognize that she's there, and she has so much of hard work to do up in the forest, doing most of the things by herself. Like she takes a shower, she doesn't have time to dry her hair, so it becomes matted. The next time to shower, again put some water, so her hair became all matted. You know how we see in the mendicants. So her hair had become like that, and because of constant serving and no time to rest and things like that, her body also became very thin. And then she serves him for a very long time. And then one day, she says that I have served you for such a long time, and I'm a wife, so I want to have a son. And so one of the conditions of marriage of Kardam Muni was that after I have a son, then I will leave the home and I go away because I want to pursue devotional service. So anyway, she says, I want to have a son. And then Kardam Muni has got mystic powers. He's a devotee, and devotees do get mystic powers. They just don't use it unnecessarily. So through his mystic powers, he's able to bring her back to her youth. And, and he also creates some 1,000 maid servants who come and serve her, get her all nicely bedecked. He creates a whole planet for her. And that becomes their home. And then they go there and they enjoy for 100 years. So that is how much you can get lost if life is very good. And and then they come back. Their lives 100 years have passed, and then she gives birth to 7 daughters. And then after the daughters are born, then Kardam Muni says, "I'm going to leave and go to the forest because that's what my promise was." So then she says, "No, you had said that you have to give me a son." So then, she has a son, and then he lingers for a little more time to take care of the son. But anyway, finally he leaves and goes away. And that son is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead who incarnated as Kapil Dev. Right? And so in Srimad Bhagavatam, you hear about Devahuti's lamentation. She laments and she says that I have been thoroughly cheated by the material energy. I completely wasted my life. Anybody else would have thought, like, my husband took me on a honeymoon, created a whole planet for me, brought back, removed all my wrinkles, made my hair shiny. What a fantastic husband I have. What a fantastic time I had. From the material perspective, you might think like that. But Devahuti says, I wasted my life. I have been cheated.
But isn't that right, Mataji? She is just all her life, she didn't enjoy. And then when she comes and she gets the palace also, but I don't know how she took it. And then another thing is, he just, after he had the children, how he left the place, how they lived. Those are the things in life we keep thinking. Like you said, I don't want to use my brain too much, but having children and leaving them,
Yeah,
she went through a
Hare
lot of
Krishna
tough
Mataji.
right.
things.
Because that's what we think. That's what we think, that we are protecting the children. Or if
Hare
I
Krishna.
have my husband, I'm the husband, so I have to take care of my wife. But the husband
Yeah.
can leave, husbands can die, right? So that is what Bhagavatam second
Hare
chapter
Krishna.
says, exactly that. Deha patra kaladishu. That people think that I have a strong body, so I'll be able to protect myself. Or I have my wife, who could be like that one who brought the, the husband back from Yamraj. And then, or I have got powerful sons and they will take care of me. Nothing happens. They are fallible soldiers. They're fallible soldiers. So that's what we might think, that how can this happen? How can this happen? But this, number one, that was the promise he made. And number two, they are exactly, that's what they're saying. And number three, when the son is there, then the son takes care of the mother. That's how it was like that in the earlier days, that men used to go. People used to go and go to the forest, vanaprastha. They
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Same thing, Mataji. Once I asked you this question and you told me that Srila Prabhupada, how could he leave his wife and children? And you said that he had a higher purpose, and there are so many people, you see, who are being benefited by his knowledge and his work. So it is better. But yes, Devhuti was she was feeling bad that she did not learn from him when she was with him. He was a sage. That is why she was lamenting. I
Yes,
feel.
yes. And instead of that, it's like, take me here, take me to Paris, take me to London, take me there,
Mm.
right? Take me
She
there.
should not have asked that son or something and wait for that. And I don't know whether for children, as it is, her life was, he was not recognizing what she was doing and everything. So what will she do with the children again? That's another thing she has to take care.
Oh, yeah. From your perspective, you are thinking like that, right? From her perspective, she wanted a son.
That's something.
Her desire. Yeah,
But
her desire.
So Mataji,
but
in
then
days, Varnashrama system was thoroughly followed.
Yes, yes.
Varnashrama system, the first, like Praveer was explaining my husband was explaining my daughter about Varnashrama system. He explained, and that stuck to my head. 25 years is Brahmachari ashram, then next 25 years is Grihastha, then
Vanaprastha.
Vanaprastha. Yes, I understand that.
so
But
the for,
until that point also,
so,
she didn't have good time now.
so the
I
woman,
say that's what you have to understand, that marriage is not about having a good time. That's
yes.
what I'm trying to say. Marriage, you get married so that you will beget Krishna conscious children, and then you bring up people in Krishna consciousness, and you help and support your husband in his pursuit of Krishna consciousness, which Devahuti did fantastically, right? Her deviation was when they went on the planet for 100 years and they were gone and did not he learn from her husband. That is what she's saying. So our understanding of a good marriage is, and that was a point from where I started. And that is our understanding of a good marriage is that the loving husband, fantastic, enjoying. It is not that. The purpose of getting married is not to enjoy. I mean, not the sole purpose. The enjoyment will come automatically. It'll come when both of you engage in the service of the Lord.
But Kali Yuga circumstances are not like that, Mataji. Is that right?
Yeah, so
In Kali,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a bad place. It's a bad
that
age,
place.
and that is why in Kali Yuga,
The Kalayam.
yeah, if the husband and a wife go and do some things together, even for a very short period of time, that's considered to be wow, 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 like that.
So Mataji, for the women, Varnashrama system for the men, they do the Vanaprastha and they leave home for sannyas, but it doesn't apply for the women. For the women, they after since until they get married, they are protected by their father, and then the father gets them married. Like Devahuti was married, and she accepted the husband, and then her duty, her service is to just serve her husband and family. And when the husband is leaving home or no more there, then she's dependent on her sons,
Yes.
her son, because
Yes.
they will then protect her
Yes.
until the end of her life. And
Yes.
that is why she wanted a son, I
Yes.
think.
Yes. 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 Everybody wants to have a son, right? For many reasons, and this is one of them.
This is what is happening to me. I came I came to my son.
There you go. Yeah. So in an
My
ideal,
husband left.
the husband left, and so this is your ideal situation. You're living with your son.
That's
Right?
true, that's true.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, that's real
The
thing.
predominating and the predominated, that is what
Predominated.
happened.
Mm. So from Radharani is predominated is
For
coming
everybody, yeah.
for everybody.
So Mataji, going back to the predominated and predominator, so there's only one predominator. This is one Purusha who's the enjoyer.
Purusha.
But unfortunately, in Kali Yuga,
We
like
have a lot of them.
Varshana Mataji was saying, there are so many ignorant people who don't realize that. They think
Yeah.
they enjoy you. They're so ignorant that they try to dominate over maybe their wives and they abuse their wife. We see a lot
Abuse.
in India. I've seen very recently. I was visiting India, and the maid was explaining, who was in my home helping
Yeah.
my. He was saying how his son beats her up when he drinks, and so I was thinking, like, this is just one case, but there are so many ignorant people who don't have this conscious, or they may be intentionally kept in that ignorance by Krishna, and the effect of Kali Yuga also is part of it. Just wanted to share. Sorry.
Yes, very nice. And going back again to the Varnashram system, and where Prabhupada used to say that, it is important that we follow the Varnashram system. And so Varnashram system is actually dividing people into various categories according to their consciousness. The Shudra has got a particular type of mentality. So in the Varnashram system, what used to happen was that the Shudras would serve their master, who would be a mercantile person, right? So that master was also supposed to behave properly. So the master never gave money to the Shudra. The master will take care. The Shudra would eat, and his family would eat the leftovers. And then if the Shudra's daughter has to be married, then the master would arrange for the daughter to be married, in the sense that whatever Lakshmi is required, the master would provide that. So the master would arrange the marriage, and that's how things were done. But nowadays it's not like that. So the Shudra also earns money, and then what does your maid servant come and tell you? He drank it all up. Because that's a Shudra mentality. They don't know how to handle money. That consciousness is like that. That you put some money in their hand, they will play, they'll gamble it away, or they will drink it away. So the Varnashram system was that don't give that money to that person, right? Isn't it like if you give money to a junkie, what's the junkie going to do? Right? He's going to go and buy drugs. So don't do that. So that Varnashram system is Chatur Varna Maya Shrishtam. Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. Krishna says that these Chatur Varnas I have created. Period. We should not have any doubts about that will be wrong, because Krishna never creates anything wrong. Chatur Varna Maya Krishna. So but it is such a sad state of life here. That everybody is a Shudra. Prabhupada says that everybody is a Shudra. But the good thing is that in Kali Yuga, even if we are Shudras, we are still entitled to do devotional service to the Lord by doing something simple as chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and go back to Godhead. And again, today, it's time for us to close the class, and we have done only the first half. So the second half still remains of Brahma Samhita. Okay?
First para, half para, we did. That's all.
Yeah, we read
We
it.
didn't
Actually. We did Charamata.
we just started, that's all.
Yeah. So we will continue with 3 again. The next half of 3. So yeah.
But whatever we did was very nice, Mataji.
Very
Okay, good. So
good. You explained a lot today.
okay, good.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sutipriya Mataji.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your reflections. Thank you for your presence and making time on Diwali day to come and
Thank you very much.
enjoy.
Shraddha Mataji, are you coming to the temple tomorrow?
I don't know. I have some office work,
Okay.
which will make me.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't even fill that.
Mataji, Mataji, life must have become very hectic for you, Mataji. The
It is,
classes, the
yeah,
office.
yeah.
I know.
Oh,
It is, but it is good. Yeah. Yeah. Krishna's arrangement, Krishna's desire. So like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving this, like telling us. It's very much it's helpful. Now I'm learning a lot
Here you go.
through you.
Krishna's instrument. Just Krishna's arrangement. And I'd like to also thank Vidyavadu Devi Dasi Mataji, who joined us here. Ram Krishna Veeravalli, my god brother, is here. And Nistaranga Devi Dasi, Dandat Pranams. Thank you for joining the call. And we'll take your leave. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha
Arupyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna to everybody, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna. Thank you, Shraddha Mataji. Thank you, Varshana Mataji. Thank you, Supriya
Happy
Mataji.
thank you so much.
Thank you,